Alrighty, welcome to round 3. We've got number 6 Ambivalent Thoughts at the bottom of your screen. We've got number 20 jolterz at the top. Let's tell our players that they are good to go. I think this looks like a mulligan here. Yeah.
Yep, Ambivalent Thoughts seeing the same thing here. This one's a little interesting as well because they're kind of playing a slightly more aggressive deck. So having a hand that doesn't quite do much until turn 4 is a little rough to consider, but they're going to keep it here. I didn't catch who is on the play. If they're on the draw, then maybe that, kind of let their opponent extend a little bit, remove something, and then kind of come down in mid-game with some threats.
Yeah, it looks like Ambivalent Thoughts is on the play here. Good hand for jolterz too. That turn 2 exploit, turn 3 Seraph. They got Know Thy Enemy and Speaking Serpent. They actually tossed away. They actually used the pledge on the Moonstone Vanguard for power. I mean, I guess that makes sense. You've got an expensive hand. You want to make sure you hit your power drops. So that's got to feel bad too against the aggro decks using your Moonstone Vanguard. But I guess jolterz's hand is good enough where they're fine throwing away that Moonstone Vanguard.
Yeah, they know that, like you mentioned, their deck has a decent amount of top end, and things like Know Thy Enemy kind of catch you up as long as you're able to hit those power plays every single turn. And so they're really valuing that to include the pledging of a solid unit on turn 1.
All right, we see Vinegrafter come down here for Ambivalent Thoughts. Looking at their market, they've got Combust, Edict of Makar, Dykrov's Ruin, Dark Purveyor, and Heartstopper as well for options with that Vinegrafter. But From Beyond going to be fired off here. And, interesting, going to see a Flash Fry and a Shadow Etching. It's not really probably what jolterz was expecting to see out of this Stonescar deck.
Yeah, all things considered, I'm kind of leaning a little towards this Shadow Etching just to deny market access because it doesn't looking at jolterz's hand right now, they're not really worried about the stir fry. Sure enough, it looks like they came to the same conclusion. But ripping off these top decks with Ambivalent Thoughts, back-to-back grafters, this is the most exciting. But later in the game, he might be able to cash in this stir fry for something a little more prevalent right now.
Yeah.
They're going to sacrifice power here.
Yeah, they're going to go for that Dark Purveyor to make it a 6/4 regen. That pump ability only at 1 right now, but yeah, it's still a 6/4 regen. And here comes that Knight Chancellor Seraph here. And notably, that Flash Fry does not kill this Knight Chancellor Seraph. And that's going to be a problem because this unit is a must kill. I wonder if we see a Vinegrafter into a Combust. You're still not going to be able to do all of that, though, this turn. But Ambivalent Thoughts' hand might be forced to do that here.
Yeah, it looks like it because, I mean...
Or an Edict of Makar. That's better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's solid there. So they get to maintain their units. It's can't remember. That's not gonna silence it, right? That's the one that just prevents them from blocking.
Yep.
Yeah, so
it'll kill it though, since it's a time unit. But yeah, you could. I don't know how much jolterz has to get back, but you gotta answer it before you can start activating it every turn.
Yeah, and we're seeing Ambivalent Thoughts really start looking out on these top decks here, just drawing straight gas now every turn, which is fantastic for them. They hit that 5th power to be able to play the grafter, go to the market. Now there's just a bunch of great threats that are going to come down. And the only problem is they are all 2 cost. And, that Know Thy Enemy is sitting there in hand. Let's see if they fire it off here, if they wait for that 6 power to come online so they can at least get another unit. Because they know now that there's going to be at least one guy sitting back. And, ooh, all right. Showing the respect to Syl there and just firing off the Unlife as a removal spell.
Yeah, and here we see that Edict. 1 turn later, going to take out that Seraph. Notably, Ambivalent Thoughts could see jolterz's power. It costs 7 to activate that ability, so Ambivalent Thoughts knew that jolterz couldn't activate Seraph that last turn, so decided to wait on the Edict for maybe a variety of reasons, see a better target, something else, although did risk it getting exploited away there, but worked out in their favor. Going to be able to take out Seraph on this turn and then attack in with those Vinegrafters, but as you mentioned, here comes the big one. Know Thy Enemy with Amplify. Is going to kill both of Ambivalent Thoughts units and flip a Diana. Oof.
Diana, just a fantastic value card. It's evasive. It replaces itself when it comes to the board, gains you a little bit of life, and it's also a roadblock for some aggro decks, as well as being a win con later in the game. So just fantastic pick off that Know Thy Enemy.
All right, just going to go with Inferno down here, but unfortunately, And then play out Inferno Den. Conflagrate does not kill this Diana. You know, I actually really like what jolterz has done here. Not that this wasn't the cards you'd play anyway, but I really love look how well all these units dodge. You know, you got Conflagrate deals 3 damage, Flashfly deals 3 damage, and the Knight Chancellor Seraph, the Diana, the Moonstone Vanguard, they just dodge all of the removal spells that Ambivalent Thoughts has here. Comes the Exploit.
Yep. Ooh, Exploit's going to come in, yep.
You're going to take out that Dark Purveyor. So Ambivalent Thoughts left with basically and Naked Sight and a Vine Grafter. I mean, I guess you take... This is tough because... I mean, you can play the Inferno Dance here and just get a bunch of units, but that's not going to do much. Oh, I like this better. Okay, going to deal the Conflagrate, and then I assume follow up with Nectar of Unlife to take care of that Moonstone Vanguard. That's pretty good.
Yeah, not a bad turn. They get a unit back. The Den is still going to have to bite the bullet, sadly, but having that Purveyor in hand is going to make, have that threat hanging over jolterz where any unit can out of nowhere become a huge threat. Ooh, this is going to be tough here. Luckily, the regen off of the both units do give them a little bit of resilience against this weapon, but I mean, that's a huge weapon coming down, not to mention removal in hand as well as a Roland to follow it up, which is that 1-2 punch that starts allowing the Vision deck to start gaining value as Roland pops off.
Yeah. This is going to be tough to come back from for Ambivalent Thoughts for sure.
I mean, they're on the right track right now, but, I mean, obviously they haven't had a chance to see what jolterz has in hand, and jolterz just kind of, man, they're just, it still feels like they're very much in the driver's seat, even though Thoughts is putting up a really good fight, showing the resilience of their deck, even despite it being an aggro deck. Decay there kind of helped out a little bit, shrinking that weapon, so making it a little harder to get some kills off of it, but really at this point, I feel like it's just going to end up breaking some regen shields.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, they still have Send an Agent, Nectar of Unlife, and 2 Rolands, so they're still cooking with gas, even at first glance it might look like Ambivalent Thoughts is in good shape. I really like where jolterz is still at here.
Yeah, I feel jolterz knows that they have the Purveyor in hand, so I'm not going to be surprised if they decide to hold back on that Send an Agent for that Purveyor to come down, just to be a nice, clean, smooth answer to the card.
All right, instead of playing out a Roland, they're going to Nectar of Unlife here. That's going to take out the Bat, and they're going to get Diana back as well. Such value here. And they also have the Send an Agent still to take care of either the Vine Grafter or the Dark Purveyor.
How big is the pump off of Purveyor right now?
It's a 6, so maybe that's what jolterz is waiting for. Is just they know that Ambivalent Thoughts has it in hand. jolterz saw Ambivalent Thoughts get it back from the void. How rough do these Flash Fries look in this matchup? Almost dead cards.
Yeah, really. I mean, I literally think the only thing they would kill would be the Valkyries off of Roland.
Yeah. All right, Degrow's Ruin here. I guess that's a plan. I don't think Ambivalent Thoughts is super happy about that, but jolterz is at 11, so it's something it's a clock that says, well, you can't sit back there forever, I guess.
True story. Man, just the ooh. Exploit's not bad here because it is going to force jolterz's hand on whether they want to sandbag that Send an Agent or they're going to fire it off. Sure enough, they are. They're deciding to choose to put it on to remove a unit instead of removing the Ruin.
Yeah, good point. So, they could have removed the Ruin. I guess they don't care about the Ruin, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like you said, it's kind of can sneak up on you, especially when you're so close to single digits. And then you have so many ways to draw cards, but I guess they figure they'll gain 2 life off of Diana and have the game over before that. So
Stormguard pointing out in chat something I didn't realize. Both Diana and Roland have 4 Justice, and jolterz only has 3 Justice. So up until right now, they just played a Justice Sigil, but prior to that, that also makes sense. I think I said a turn ago, why weren't they playing the Roland? But yeah, no fourth justice. So that is one thing you got to do when you're playing these 3 faction decks that have heavy influence, like this Vision midrange deck. 4 justice required for Roland and for Diana, but that taken care of here. I think I got confused with the Diana because jolterz did play it, but they played it off of the Know Thy Enemy, not off of casting the justice.
Yeah, I completely missed that one as well, and I think it's exactly for that. Where like we saw one Diana in play, so can't see why the other ones wouldn't come down. Ooh, this Molder Muck is good. Definitely come up the board quite a bit there, buying uh Ambivalent Thoughts way more time, so they might. I mean, once again, that ruin might not be a big deal now, but at some point that damage is going to start to add up on both sides because it
See,
is a life point swing,
it
down one,
is,
up
but
one.
this is great, though. Going to the market, going to grab an express route, and that express route's going to be able to take care of that Moldermuck pretty cleanly here. And we might just see lethal right here. I think that just might be it. Even with the life gain off of the Ruin, that's going to put... it's actually Exactsies. The life gain's going to put Ambivalent Thoughts up to 9, but attacking for exactly at 9.
Wow, nice. Well done, jolterz. I think they navigated that game really well.
Yeah, well navigated by jolterz there. Pretty impressive. Gonna take game 1 there. Here's a look at Ambivalent Thoughts deck again. This doesn't seem like a good matchup for Ambivalent Thoughts, if I'm being honest. I think that we were talking last round, Jedi, about how this Vision mid-range deck was a very powerful deck in the format a couple months ago, but then when Sling and Overloader combo sort of took over, yeah, you couldn't really play that Vision mid-range deck anymore because the combo decks just kind of made it look silly. But now that people are moving away from combo and people are playing more of these, mid-range decks and aggro decks and value decks, going back to that Vision mid-range deck actually trumps what a lot of those value decks are trying to do. So I wonder if it's time for Vision mid to take this tournament tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Vision mid-range is just that it's got good plays early. It's got good mana power sinks later in the game, which is really what kind of sets it over the top, right? And so many of the cards that deck runs are 2-for-1s. At least half of what they're running gives you the ability to get a card's worth of value off of it in some form or fashion. So it's just very tough for these quote-unquote fair decks to kind of get there. And even, I mean, I think Ambivalent Thoughts did a really good job there of being resilient through all that removal and kind of value gain. But at the end of the day, they just weren't able to catch up to all those 2-for-1s.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, it's time for game 2. Looks like jolterz is on the play. That's tough for Ambivalent Thoughts as well here. And Ambivalent Thoughts' deck isn't the fastest deck in the world. It's kind of funny. There's this weird understanding with sort of how the metagame works with sort of aggro decks and the mid-range decks. You never want to be like half a step below another deck. So like if you're gonna go fast, you got to go really fast. But if you're sort of a slow aggro deck or sort of a mid-range deck, the mid-range deck that's doing something a little bit more powerful than you or one step more expensive than you is a really tough matchup because you're not going to beat them with speed and they're able to do things that are just more powerful than you are. And that's what the feeling I'm getting here. This Stonescar deck can put some threats out, has some removal, but the Vision mid deck is just, well, I'm a little bit more expensive and all my stuff's a little bit bigger and my removal's a little bit better. And that's just really hard for the Stonescar deck to deal with.
I mean, I think with the right draw, Ambivalent Thoughts could be very aggressive out the gate. I mean, getting a sill down on an unanswered sill down on 2 is a big part of it, right? Just kind of starting to take chunks of 5 out, or having a Black Hall War Leader stick as well. But I mean, these Vision decks are just made to either strip the units out of the hand early or to just remove them. And then obviously both those key cards are 2-drops that just play right into Know Thy Enemy. So yeah. I think, like you mentioned, might just be a bad matchup. I think this Stonescar deck has some legs and can do some things. I mean, I've lost to it several times on ladder myself, but it's just poorly positioned against a deck like Vision.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You can just see how this game played out so far. Like, even though the Suffocate can hit that Seraph, and the Nectar of Unlife can shrink this, and the Flash Fry can kill the Moonstone Vanguard, the problem is that's not good enough. Like, you can't beat the Vision mid-range deck by 2-for-1ing yourself or by using Suffocate on their Seraph. Like, jolterz is totally fine with that. If the beginning of the game, if the start of the game is Ambivalent Thoughts using bad or mediocre or middle removal spells to just take care of your first plays, that actually works fine for jolterz. Say, sure, use all your resources to take care of my early threats, and then I'll just slam a greatsword, or I'll just slam a speaking circle or a Roland. Like, that's totally fine. Now, this is better for Ambivalent Thoughts. Moldermuck is one of those that's a little tough for the Vision Midrange to deal with, so I think this is a good threat for them. But, they still have Desert Alchemist, and they're going to have massive greatswords, so, it's not over by any means. And yeah, so here you see Ambivalent Thoughts has to go, and the best thing they can get, the best option they have is basically just a 1-drop removal spell. Which is good. It's fine. It's going to take out the Roland cleanly, but that actually jolterz doesn't care if you spend 1 from removal spells. Like, that's the deck is fine with that.
Yeah, we're definitely in a position here where, I mean, that was a decent set of draws there for ambivalent thoughts, but they got a great sword sitting there. They have 2 removal spells in hand. They're not in too much trouble here. They're still at a pretty healthy life total. And I mean, Moldermuck could do some damage, but I mean, it's getting to the point now where it's just going to have to hold steady. It is making that greatsword look pretty bad right now. Yeah. But does Moldermuck's cost shrink when they split, or does it maintain the 3 cost?
It maintains the 3 cost. Now, one cool interaction is it does send everything to the void for Dark Purveyor. So attacking and getting what is that 8 units into the void will pump 8 times for Dark Purveyor. So that's actually a pretty cool interaction. But again, I'm not sure it's going to be enough. But yeah, here comes that Moonstone Vanguard. Ambivalent Thoughts just going to attack in. That's fine. They're going to give up that block, but jolterz is going to gain the health from that. Ooh, interesting. Going to play out the Dark Purveyor first. That's really interesting.
I think they just want to try to get on the board and kind of try to outrace this Moonstone Vanguard.
Well, that sentence that you just said is outrace a Moonstone Vanguard. That's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of for them doing it, because, I mean, so they can defend with the 6/4, and if they try to attack, or they can attack into it.
Yeah, it does attack into it next turn, but Send an Agent's going to be able to take care of that. And Send an Agent's such a good answer to a 6/4 regen unit. Just get out of here. Plus the free attack. It has endurance. You get to so jolterz has basically gained 5 health last turn, attacked in, drew a card, and now gets to block again against all these Moldermucks. And yeah, Siege Train is big. That's something.
Yeah, I feel here like they're just gonna slam the Sun Fury sword. That way they can pump up one. Oh no, actually, I feel embarrassed at how little I'm familiar with Moldermuck. It won't copy the sword, right? It has to be a direct buff to itself to copy.
I think so. Yeah, I believe so. Yes. Know Thy Enemy here, gonna take out the Vine Grafter, because these, as you mentioned, are still 3 cost, but gonna flip a Seraph and a Diana off that. That's pretty good. Yeah, just go ahead, attack in with the Vanguard. And, oh, that's tough. I mean, we said that last game as well, but how tough does that have to be? If Ambivalent Thoughts is trading away their 6/4 for the Moonstar Vanguard, I mean, you're not in great shape. All right, 6/1.
Yeah, I wonder why they didn't consider. Doing like some kind of double block, because they do have those 2/3/1 Moldermucks that could have blocked as well, and kept some kind of pressure with the siege engine.
Speaking of siege trains, the train has left. The Seraph train has left the station here. Going to start flipping out units. Doesn't really matter what they are. You're getting free units with big power boost each turn. So 2/4 endurance lifesteal. Now going to be a 2/6 endurance lifesteal. That's, it's fine. It's not the greatest unit in the world, but I tell you what, a 2/6 endurance lifesteal looks pretty good on this board. And now Ambivalent Thoughts passing it back, and jolterz just gets to do it again.
Yeah, like you said, even if it's not super impactful, it's still a free card that you're getting one way or another, while jolterz is still able to continue to draw cards off the top of his deck. So whenever Seraph does get answered, or they just have enough power. They could start doing two things for a turn. So
Hmm.
it's still a really good position. Sometimes you do high roll some bomb threats, and even if you don't, still another threat that Ambivalent Thoughts has to deal with to get through.
Yeah, and just Gauss allows jolterz to buy time to get up to 12 power, because once jolterz hits 12, Diana can just say game over right off the bat. So that's a good way to buy
Yeah.
time, is to just say, okay, well, we're just going to keep firing off units that you can't get through. And yeah, this has just been such an awkward hand for Ambivalent Thoughts. I got to feel that this is just a tough matchup, because Ambivalent Thoughts has just every card they've drawn has just been, it's a good card, but it just doesn't do anything in the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, they've been able to recur units from the void. They've been able to access their market consistently. The
Hmm.
deck's been firing off on all cylinders. This is probably a little more power than they want to see, but the game has gone long enough where I think it's not, really would be considered flood at this point. And
Yeah.
yeah, it just seems like the vision is just doing a little bit bigger things.
Yep. Yeah, as you said, yeah, they played out a good threat in Moldermuck. They played out good removal. They went to the market. It's kind of everything the deck wants to do. It did. It just didn't have the right speed, and it didn't match up well. So Maeve, Walker of Aeons here, and that's just going to be too much. And jolterz is going to take this one 2-1. So congratulations, jolterz, on that win. We've seen Vision mid now. A couple different matches look pretty strong. Let's take a look at that deck list while I'm pulling up the back.